Hello, everyone. Now, before we get this underway, on social media, and also probably on ESPN Seattle, because NKJR, I did not listen to any sports talk today. I am sure there are a lot of 12 men out there who are freaking out, and they either woke up today and looked at the sports page or checked their Facebooks or whatever, and they thought, oh my gosh, the Seahawks are 0-2, the world's ending, this is terrible, and they're freaking out. The first thing I want to say is, calm down, take a deep breath, and let it out slowly, okay? Is it time to panic? For me, the answer is no. I know the last two games have been hard against St. Louis and Green Bay. I understand that we were in both of those games. They're against, a division rival and arguably the best team in the NFC. We had an opportunity to win those games, and we did it. I can understand the frustration. I also can understand why people would be freaking out in the sense that it's very difficult for an NFL team to go to the playoffs when you start out 0-2. It is statistically proven that if you start out 0-2, it's basically a death sentence. There have been, however, some teams who have started out 0-2 and have still made it and won the Super Bowl. They didn't make it easy on themselves, but they still made it and made it to the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. The one that I can think off the top of my head is the 2007 New York Giants, who began the year 0-2, and then later on, they ended up defeating the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. That was the year the Patriots were looking for the season of perfection. It was also the Spygate year. And the Giants started out 0-2, and then they beat Tampa Bay. This is the playoffs. Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Green Bay on the road in each game to get to the Super Bowl, and then they beat the New England Patriots, courtesy of the David Tyree catch. So, I understand why people might think it's time to panic. I am not. My finger is on the button, though, because this game is almost a must-win situation. It's one thing to come back from an 0-2 record. It's another thing to come back from an 0-3 record. I'll give you an example. I know this might be a little different because it's college, but I remember there was one year where my Central Washington Wildcats got off to a 0-2 start, and I thought, okay, this is kind of concerning. They'll probably win the third game of the season, and then we'll start winning. Well, guess what? They lost the third game of the season. I want to say this was 2011. I'm pretty sure that was the year it was. And that was such a big hole for the team that in order for the Wildcats to at least have an opportunity to clinch the conference and maybe sneak into the playoffs and maybe get back in the top 25, they had to win their next 3 games in a row. And it's very difficult to win 3 games in a row. In that particular example, the Wildcats ended up winning the first 2, and then they played Humboldt State, and they needed to win that game to stay pace with Humboldt State for the conference title. And not only did they lose that particular game at homecoming, they lost their season. Because since they lost to Humboldt, they were 2-4 and mathematically eliminated from the conference. So, it's one thing to come from behind an 0-2 deficit, it's another thing to come back from an 0-3. So I have not pushed the panic button yet because I do not think that the Seahawks are going to go down 0-3. If it makes you feel better, 12th man, both ESPN and Sports Illustrated predicted the Seahawks to lose their first 2 games before starting to rally off some wins. So now is an opportunity for us to rebound, okay? Those first two games, as I said before in the comment video, probably will be the toughest 2 games back-to-back in the regular season that we will play throughout the entire year. Because you have a place in St. Louis who you historically don't play well in, and you have a team that you struggle with on the road, and you have arguably the top team in the NFC, in the Green Bay Packers, the following week. So, even though the Hawks are still 0-2, there's no need to push the panic button. I can get behind, as much as it stinks, I can get behind losing to St. Louis and Green Bay. But if we lose to Chicago, I will then push the panic button. If we start out 0-3 and we will go to week 4 and be on the cusp of completing a quarter of the NFL season, then I will push the panic button. But you know what? I do not feel like we need to push the panic button because I believe the Seattle Seahawks will win on Sunday. Here's why. First and foremost, it's the home opener, okay? There's still the buzz and the hype with the Seattle Seahawks around the Seattle sports community. Since it's the home opener, it's going to be a sellout. The 12th man's going to be there. They're going to be riled up. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff, so for those of you who have season tickets, and you have your pregame traditions, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to slowly but surely make your way down to the stadium and do what you do. There'll be tailgating. Some of you go to church on Sunday mornings. Well, guess what? You don't have to worry about missing kickoff unless you go to a evening service. I know some people do that. But you don't have to worry about missing kickoff at 10 a.m. because you could go to church and then you can go see the game at CenturyLink. Okay, so the 12th man is going to be excited and be loud for the Seahawks when they enter the field this Sunday. And I know this because I have been fortunate to go to a Seahawks home opener. I went a couple years ago in 2012 when the Seahawks hosted the Dallas Cowboys. And it's a different atmosphere. And it always has been a different atmosphere in any sport. With your home opener, it's kind of, everybody's excited. Everyone's almost at the same playing field. And it's kind of a playoff atmosphere because it's the first game that your team is hosting. So that's the first reason why I believe the Seahawks will win this game. Now, here's some interesting statistics that will also show you why I believe the Seahawks will win against the Chicago Bears. First off, in the Pete Carroll era, so under Pete Carroll, the Seahawks are undefeated in home openers. Okay? The Seahawks in general, so from Pete Carroll, his first game was in 2010. So from 2010 to last year, that 5 years, the Seahawks are undefeated in home openers. Okay, when was the last time the Seattle Seahawks lost a home opener? You've got to go back to 2008 when they lost to the Santa Clara 49ers, and it was Mike Holmgren's last year. So even during the Jim Mora year, the Seattle Seahawks won their home opener. So the Seahawks right now have a 6-game winning streak in home openers. Now, after the 2008 home opener, which they lost to overtime against Santa Clara, when was the last time the Seattle Seahawks lost a home opener in regulation play? You have to go back to 2002 at the first ever game at the Clink. That was the last time the Seattle Seahawks lost a home opener. It was to the Arizona Cardinals. Believe it or not, the Arizona Cardinals were the first team to ever win at CenturyLink Field. So outside of that, since 2003, until now, they have been undefeated, and the worst that they've ever done is lose in overtime. Okay, so historically, at the Clink, the Seattle Seahawks do very well in home openers. Okay, now, not only that, during the Pete Carroll era, the Seattle Seahawks, for the most part, have blown out their opponents during their home openers. I'll give you some scores. First year, Pete Carroll, it was Matt Hasselbeck's last year. Final score, 31-6 over Santa Clara. Next year, the Tavares Jackson year, where we had Jackson at the quarterback position. This was the closest game Pete Carroll has ever coached during a home opener. The Seahawks ended up coming out on top, 13-10 over the Arizona Cardinals. Following year, 2012, the year I went to the home opener, 27-7 over the Dallas Cowboys. The next year, the year we won the Super Bowl, we defeated Santa Clara again, 29-3, in another blowout in Sunday Night Football. And then last year, as I mentioned before, they blew out the Green Bay Packers, this time by a score of 36-14. Okay, so 4 out of those 5 games have been blowouts. And it doesn't matter who we're playing, and it also doesn't matter where we are in the standings. You know, in 2010 when we were 7-9, we won the division. Santa Clara was on an even playing field for the most part of the season. I mean, nobody expected the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson's first win as quarterback to be over Dallas. I went to that game. I was astonished on how well the Seattle Seahawks played during the home opener. I mean, that's back when Romo was healthy and they had Miles Austin to give you an idea of what they were up against. And then, of course, look at the year we won the Super Bowl. It was San Francisco and Seattle competing for the NFC Championship, and we blew them out on Sunday Night Football. Okay? I'll take it even a step further. Okay? The average, the Seattle Seahawks, in the last 5 years, during this stretch under Pete Carroll, have scored on average, 27.2 points per game when it comes to home openers. Just home openers. Their opponents, would you like to know how many points they allow their opponents? A grand total of 8. That's more than 3 scores, even if you score a touchdown and score all the 2-point conversions. I mean, that is huge. I mean, that's a 3-touchdown lead. So, as you can see from these statistics, the Seahawks played very well in home openers. Now we're going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks opponent. So they are going to play the Bears, and has Jay Cutler come into CenturyLink Field and won? Yes. And he has also, however, struggled against the Seattle Seahawks. And, oh, wait a second. Jay Cutler's not playing. Jay Cutler is out with a hamstring injury. So we don't have to worry about dealing with this washed-up, overpaid quarterback. Wow! How convenient is that? How convenient is that? The Chicago Bears do not have their quarterback, Jay Cutler, for this game, meaning they will have a guy by the name of Jimmy Clausen leading this team out of the tunnel and against the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, would you like to know what Jimmy Clausen's statistics are? So, the 1 year where he was a starter, it was in 2010 against the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know why I always say Carolina Hurricanes. I've done that before throughout my blog. But, anyway, when he was a starter for the Carolina Panthers back in 2010, he threw a grand total of 3 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Okay, so that means for every single touchdown that he threw 3 picks. This year, because he played last week when Cutler got hurt against the Arizona Cardinals. He was 14 for 23 in terms of completions and passing yards. And does he throw a touchdown? No. He threw another interception. He has a quarterback rating of 56.6. Has barely started any games. He played in 2010 and went someplace else and has played 5 games for the Chicago Bears. I don't know if they were starters. But at the end of the day, the guy has only thrown 5 career touchdown passes compared to his 11 interceptions. And it has been statistically proven, time in and time again, that a young quarterback coming into CenturyLink Field does not do well. They get rattled by the noise, they cannot handle the hard counts, and anybody who hasn't gone into CenturyLink Field, that is a disadvantage. It is a huge, huge disadvantage. Not to say that Jimmy Clausen, provided he can get his team to the playoffs, which we'll talk about later, which I don't think is going to happen, that doesn't mean that Jimmy Clausen will ever win a game in CenturyLink Field if given the opportunity. However, when it comes to quarterbacks entering CenturyLink, 9 times out of 10, if you go through the NFL and you go through how many times a quarterback plays in CenturyLink, they've lost their first game. It's I don't want to say a guaranteed win because of what happened during the Titans game that the Seahawks played the year that they went to the Super Bowl, because the rookie actually had a couple of decent drives, and that was a one-possession game. But even so, that particular rookie, that particular quarterback who had never played, and I want to say it was Terry Collins, but don't quote me on that. But that quarterback had never played at CenturyLink Field, therefore he did not have the experience to get his team over the hump and beat the Seahawks in Seattle. And that is another reason why I am expecting the Chicago Bears to come in and struggle. Not only that, the Chicago Bears are coming in like the Seattle Seahawks, 0-2. They lost to Green Bay the first week, 31-23, and they lost to Arizona 48-23. Their defense is giving up 39.5 points a game. Now, what is incredibly scary about that, what's incredibly scary, if you are a Bears fan, is both of those games were in Chicago. Okay, so they cannot defend the home turf. So they are averaging almost giving up 40 points a game at home. Can you imagine what's going to happen when they come into CenturyLink Field and they have to deal with the 12-man? The defense is going to be on the field a lot because Clausen is going to have a difficult time moving the ball down the field. It's going to allow Russell Wilson and company to score. The Legion of Boom is going to be amped up. And yeah, you can probably see where I think this game is going to go. I really do believe the Seattle Seahawks have this one. I think they will beat the Chicago Bears. I will push the panic button if we lose to the Chicago Bears because there's no reason why we should lose. The Bears have a terrible defense right now thus far. They don't have their starting quarterback. They have a young quarterback. They can't defend their home field advantage. And this is their first road game of the season. And they've been arguably blown out in their first two games of their season. So that is the reason why I say the Seattle Seahawks are going to win this game. Some keys, the two keys I have. The two keys I have in order for the Seahawks to win this game. The first one is, and I know he's getting up there with age, but they have a linebacker, the Bears have a linebacker by the name of Jared Allen. And for those of you who are not too familiar with Jared Allen, he played for the Minnesota Vikings, was the leader on that defense, and got a big contract with the Bears. And I actually think he not only is a good linebacker, but he has one of the coolest sack celebrations. What he does is he pretends like he's grabbing a bowl of soup, and then he stirs the bowl, so to speak, and then does the whole hands up in the air. But don't have Jared Allen beat you. Really keep him contained. Don't let him put pressure on Russell Wilson. The other thing is, and this is the biggest point, 12th man, Rattle Clausen. We have a backup quarterback. I don't even think he's even played against the Seattle Seahawks. He has no idea what he's going in. Well, he may have an idea, but he's going to realize he had really no idea once he takes that first snap at the quarterback, as the quarterback for the Bears. So Rattle Clausen, 12th man, you are also a key. When I went to the 2012 home opener, the Dallas Cowboys actually fumbled the opening kickoff, and it gave the 12th man more reasons to be loud and obnoxious and give Tony Romo and company problems. We need to do that here in this game. Our team needs our help, needs the adrenaline rush. They're hungry. We're hungry for a victory. We need to back up this team so we can sit here next week and talk about being 1-2 going into week number 4. So for me, the panic button hasn't been pushed, but I don't think I will be pushing it at this point of the season because I see the Seahawks winning big in this game against the Chicago Bears. So thank you very much for watching. Again, leave your comments below. Tell me what you think. And we'll talk to you later. Go Hawks, and let's beat the Bears.